Okay, so now let's talk about the goals of the economy. So these are called the macroeconomic goals, and the purpose of these macroeconomic goals is the aim of the government to try to increase our living standards, and the way that they try to do this is by trying to achieve the economic goals. So first goal is the goal of strong and sustainable economic growth. So in this goal, what the economy is trying to do is they're trying to make sure that our real GDP grows sustainably. So it's growing first, so it's going strongly. There's an upward trend in real GDP. Secondly, it's sustainable. So despite the upward trend, we don't want it to increase to a significant level. Next is the goal of price stability. So the goal of price stability is all about how about keeping prices stable, pretty much. So this one relates to inflation. So here, this goal is all about keeping inflation in check. So we want inflation, but we don't want too much of it, just because we want to keep it stable. Otherwise, it's unsustainable. Next is the goal of full employment. So we're not trying to achieve no unemployment at all, but we're trying to achieve a rate of unemployment that's good for the economy, but not such a high rate of unemployment that it's bad for the economy. So we want sort of the sweet spots for each of them, and I'll discuss those in a bit. But these goals really, really important. So from Unit 3 to literally the end of the year, you're going to be focusing a lot on these economic goals. So how do we measure the price level in the economy? We use inflation to do that, and that refers to a goal of price stability. So definition of inflation, it's just a sustained increase in the average price level over time. So the way that we measure inflation, we use the CPI, or the Consumer Price Index. And this is pretty much where the Australian, so the ABS, so the Australian Bureau of Statistics, they survey metropolitan households, so a very small percentage, I think just 2%, to sort of investigate what goods they buy, what goods they use the most, and then weigh them, and then determine inflation. Here we go. So it's a basket of consumer goods, and they're weighed according to their importance to the consumer. So remember, 2% of metropolitan household. So immediately we can see a problem there. If it's only 2% of households, it doesn't give us an indication of what rural households want. It's a very small proportion of the economy, so it might not always be right. Okay, so the goal of price stability. Usually I don't say memorize things in Echo, but if you were to memorize anything, memorize these 3 goals. So the goal of price stability is pretty much to achieve an inflation rate of 2 to 3% per annum, as measured by the CPI on average over time. So I'm just going to get this pen out, and I'm going to highlight the very important things I want you to say. So first of all, rate of 2 to 3% per annum. So per annum, 2 to 3%, measured by CPI. That's another important thing to add. And then this is really, really, really important. So remember, price stability is a sustained increase in price. It's not just a one-off spike in prices and they go down. It's like a sustained increase in prices on average over time. Why does the government want to do this? First of all, if the inflation is too high, if the prices are going way too quickly, we sort of stop becoming internationally competitive. So that means that our prices start to be really high and we don't sell as many exports anymore. So that's bad for our aggregate demand. Next, we want to make sure that our currency maintains its purchasing power. So again, related to international competitiveness, as people buy products from us, we have more purchasing power with that currency as well. So you'll talk a lot more about this a bit later on when you discuss trade and everything as well. Second, why don't we want zero inflation? It literally means that prices are low, they're not rising, and it sort of makes the economy look a bit weak as well, because usually a small amount of inflation is a good thing. It shows that we're going good, demand is strong in the economy as well. Okay, next let's do an example. So let's say the CPI is 100, and then in the next year it's 104. What is the final rate of inflation? Literally new minus old divided by old. That's it. So new is 104 minus old 100 divided by old divided by 100. That's 4%. So the maths in Echo is pretty straightforward.